All right, guys, so we can now list our clients. We can add a new client. Now I want to work on the details page, okay, or the details component. So let's close up. We don't need that. We don't need that. Add client. We don't need that. So I'm going to create a new file in components/clients called client details.js. Okay, and inside client details, we're gonna need a lot of things here. So let's copy from add client actually, because we're gonna need we'll copy from clients.js because we need compose, we need connect, we need Firestore Connect, we even need the spinner. So let's grab all this stuff here. We're gonna need all this, and go to client details and paste this in. Okay, let's generate a class-based component. So we don't need this import. We already have that up top. And then we'll take export default and we'll bring this down at the bottom. Client details. Okay. So let's see. I'm trying to think of what order I want to do this in. I think that we should get the client first, and then focus on the rendering of the UI. So down at the bottom here, we're going to do kind of what we did with clients.js. So if we go down to clients.js, we have Firestore Connect, and we also have Connect, and they're both enclosed in the compose function. So let's actually, let's do that. Let's copy this whole thing here and go like that, and make sure we change clients to client details. Now for Firestore Connect, things are going to be a little different because we need to get a single client. So instead of just passing in the collection like this, we're actually going to pass in props. So we're going to say props, and then we're going to set an arrow to some brackets, and inside here we're going to define the collection. Okay, so basically this is what we just had. I'm just adding props, and the reason I'm adding props is because we need to get the ID that we want, and the ID is going to be in the URL. Okay, because remember, it's going to be client / and then whatever the client ID is. So the collection is going to be clients, and then we want to we don't want this to be in our state as clients, because if we do that, the clients from the clients component, okay, when we fetch the clients through there, it's already going to be filled with that. Okay, so we want to store this as something else. So we can actually say store as and store it as something else in state. So I want to store it as client, okay, singular. And then we have to specify the document that we want to grab. And again, we need to get it by its ID. Now the ID is going to be in the URL. And the way that we can access that is through props.match.params. Okay, so we can get params in the URL, and we want the ID. That's how we're going to get it. And now in connect, we want, for state, I'm just going to use a little bit of destructuring here. We're going to get, we're going to say Firestore. So Firestore, and then we want to get ordered out of that. So ordered like that. And then here, instead of clients, we're going to say client, and we don't have to do state.firestore.ordered because we did destructuring, so we can simply say ordered. We want to say ordered.client and ordered.client, and then this is going to be an array with the single object. So we want the first item in the array. It's always going to be the first item, which is 0. All right, so that should get us the single client, and it should get it by the ID that's in the URL. And we haven't created a route for this yet, so we will have to do that. But for now, let's just render out details, and I just want to make sure that we can actually get the client. So what I'm going to do is in the render, let's say const we want to do destructuring here. Client equals this dot props. So we want to pull client out of this dot props, and then let's just console log it. Actually, we don't have to console log it. Let's go in the return, or let's say if, because we want to make sure it actually came back from Firebase. So if client, then we'll return. I'm gonna just copy this or cut that out and put that in here. And then let's just put in the client name just to see if it works. So we'll say client dot first name. All right. So I'm going to save this, and hopefully it will display the first name. Now we have to create a route, so let's go to app.js. Let's bring in our client details component. So I'll just copy this down. We'll change this here to client details and client details, and then we'll create a route. Okay, so exact path is going to be client slash, and then we want colon ID because it's going to be a parameter. It's not going to be not just ID, because we want this to represent whatever the actual ID is, and then this will be client details. All right, so let's save that. And then if we go back to our application, I believe if we hover over details, yep, you'll see it goes to the client ID. Let's click that. So it goes to client slash and then whatever the ID. Now we have an issue here. Client details, nothing was returned from render. Oh, let's see, client details. So we said in render, if client, then do this, else, then we want to return our spinner. I believe, right? Yeah, there we go, Karen. So the reason it said that is because it hadn't fetched the client yet, so nothing was in there. So it wasn't returning anything. So what we did is we said else, if it hasn't been returned yet, if it hasn't gotten fetched from Firebase yet, put a spinner in there. That's why if we reload, you'll see the little spinner for a second, because that's the time it takes to get the client. And then we're just putting out the first name. Good. So we know that all that stuff works with the Firebase Connect and all that. So now we just pretty much have to build out the page. So let's see what we want to do here. Inside this return, we have a div, and then we want to back to dashboard like we did on the other page. So let's do a row, and let's do a call MD6. And we're going to put a link to the dashboard. Class name is going to be btn link. And we want an icon of FAS, and then we also want FA dash, what is it, arrow dash circle dash left, like that. And then that'll say back to dashboard. All right. Now I'm going to have another 6-column div because we need an edit and delete button, and that's where I'm going to put this. So call MD6, and let's use a button group in Bootstrap. So a class of btn dash group, and let's also float right. Okay, so in this button group, we're basically going to have one of them is going to be a link because it's going to be the edit. It's just going to go to client slash edit slash and then the ID. So let's put in link to equals, and it's going to be dynamic. So let's put in backticks here. It's going to be slash client slash edit slash and then the ID. So we can use this syntax and we can say client dot ID. Okay, and we'll do class name equals, let's do btn and btn dash dark. Put our ending link, and this will be edit So that's the edit. Now the delete is going to be a button. So let's do button. Let's give it a class of btn and btn-danger. And we'll say delete. Okay, now this will have an event attached to it, but we're not going to do that just yet. We'll do that later. So let's save this and see what we get so far. Okay, so it looks like that. Now what we'll do is let's start to add the information. So under, let's see, so we have button, and then let's go under this div, and let's just put an HR here. We'll do HR, whoops. And under that, we're going to have a card, a Bootstrap card. And inside the card, we're going to have a card header. Inside here, we're going to put the client's first and last name. So we'll do client dot first name space client dot last name. So that's the header. Then under that, actually, the header I want it to be an H3, like this. H3. And then we'll have the card body, so card-body. And inside here, we're actually going to use the grid. Again, we're going to have a row. And let's do a call-md-8. And let's do call-SM. If it's on small screens, it'll be 6. Okay, we're actually going to have 2 of these. So medium screens and up will be 8 for the first one. This will be 6. For the second one, medium screens will be 4, right? Yeah, 8 and 4. Okay, so in this first column, we're going to have the client ID. So it's going to be an H4, and I'm going to say client ID, and I want a space here. I'm just going to do this. So client ID, and then let's put this in a span because I want it to be like a lighter text. So I'm going to use text secondary like that, and then inside here we'll put the client dot ID. Okay, we can see what it looks like so far. There we go, client ID. And then on the other side, we want to put the balance, okay, whatever their balance is. So let's see. So in this call right here, I'm going to say balance. And we're actually going to use something called class names, which is an extra package because I want to add different class depending if they owe money or not. If it's a 0 balance, I want it to be green. If they owe money, I want it to be red. But I'm not going to do that just yet. For now, let's just do a money sign because it's going to be currency. This isn't like templates syntax or anything. It's just a legit money sign. And then we want to parse float and pass in client.balance, and let's do 2 fixed, and we want 2 decimal places. So it'll just show the balance for now. There we go. This should actually be in an H3 though. Yeah, I wanted to put this in an H3 with a class of pull right. That. Let's see what that does. There we go. Okay, and like I said, we'll use class names to change the color, but let's add the rest of the stuff first, which isn't much. We just want, let's see, we'll have the email and phone down here. We are going to have an icon here where we can click it, and then a little form will show up to update the balance, but we're not going to get to that functionality in this video. So we'll do that. We'll do that after. So let's go under the H3, and I'm going to put a to-do right here. This is where we're going to put our form. So I'm going to say to. Whoops, that's not a right comment. Let's do at to-do balance form. We'll probably do that in the next video. But down under the, let's see right here, I want to put an HR, and I want to put a an unordered list with the class of list group. And let's put an LI with the class of list group item. Okay, we actually want 2 of these. And in the first one here, we're going to say contact email, and then put the client's email. And then in this one here, we're going to say contact phone, and we're going to put client.phone. All right, let's save that. Let's see what it looks like. Good. So as I said, we will have a little icon where we can have a little form here to update the balance, but we're not going to do that just yet. Let's add prop types because we're getting that warning. So we'll go right here, and let's say, what's the name of this? Client details dot prop types. And then as far as prop types, we just have Firestore for now. So Firestore prop types dot, it's an object, is required. Okay. And then let's do the class names. So like I said, the balance, I want to have a different class if they owe money. So I'm going to go and I'm going to install something called class names. I'm going to go to a different terminal. I'll just let the server run. And let's do npm install class names. Okay, it's just a very small module. Okay, so that's installed. Now we're going to bring that in. So let's go up top here and let's say import class names from class names. And let's see, we want to use this down right here where the balance is. So I'm going to wrap not the word balance, but the actual amount here. I'm going to wrap this in a span. That, and then we basically want a conditional class here, so we're going to say class name equals, and then we want to set it to class names like that, which is what we brought in, and then that takes in an object where we can map certain class names to certain conditions. So I want to map text dash danger, which makes the text red if the client owes a balance. So if we say client dot balance is greater than 0, and then let's do another one. We'll say text success, so where it's green, it'll make the text green if the client dot balance is equal to 0, and that should work hopefully. Let's save that, and okay, let's go back. Details. All right, so balance 100. So this client owes a balance, so it's red. Let's go to the Tammy Waters, who has a 0 balance, and it's green. So that's exactly the functionality that I want. Awesome. And that's red. Good. So anyone that owes money, it's in the red. And you could do that in this if you wanted to. You could make these different colors, but I'm not going to do that. All right, in the next video, we're going to implement the update balance form. So I want a little icon we can click, and then it'll show an input, and we can quickly update the balance from the details page.